good evening, and welcome back to Full Count Baseball Podcast. Excuse me. I'm your host, Blaine Arsenal. This is episode 12 of our coaching series, and we're sitting down with Neville's high head baseball coach, Paul Guerriero. How's it going, Coach?
Doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Just ready for the baseball season.
No, definitely. Yeah, something we've definitely been waiting on for sure.
Yes, sir. Um, Coach, where are you from? Tell us a little bit about yourself, playing and coaching days.
Okay, well, I'm from Monroe, Louisiana. I went to high school at St. Frederick High School. Uh, Played there through I think it was 89. I then played at Hines Community College, assigned Hines Community College, and then went to uh, UAM for a year and then signed with NLU. So I finished my last 2 years playing at NLU under Coach Santamont. And
NLU, that's Monroe. That's ULM, right?
yes, ULM now, right? Yep.
So how did your baseball journey take lead you to coaching?
Well, I mean, it's something I'd always loved growing up, and I think I was one of the guys that was always trying to get the extra work, always wanting to go to uh, the Skip Bertman camp as a high school kid, and went for a couple of times, and it was just something I liked. I made good relationships with my coaches in high school, good relationship with the coaches that were at the LSU clinic, and then back then, we had Dixie Major, and it was a big league, and had pretty good relationships with those coaches as well, and it's just something that led me to do it. And also had Rick Hudson, who was the head football coach at St. Frederick, and Wayne Johnson, the head baseball coach, and both of them influenced me to want to go coach.
So what year are you entering now in your coaching career?
So I played at ULM through the '93 season,
Hmm.
and right after that, I was offered to take over Claiborne Christian in their second year. They had gone, it was 0 and 18 in their first year, and I took over, and uh, we had a really good year. We were like 15 and 6, maybe something like the 15 and 6, 15 and 10. Good year for us, good group of kids. And I was actually hired at Claiborne Christian to be the athletic director, head football coach, and head baseball coach my
Wow.
second year out of college. And I wasn't real, and I knew I wasn't ready for that. But St. Frederick, my alma mater at that time, had gotten a job opportunity and had talked to me previously about coming back there, and so they offered me a job, and I left Claiborne Christian and took a job at St. Frederick as an assistant in football and baseball.
Every young coach that comes out of college playing or just young coaches in general, they think they have it all when they start coaching. Any early struggles you had your first couple years coaching?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's thing. I was just telling somebody this the other day. I know they couldn't do it, but I wish that every head coach had to be a head coach at a 1A school first, because you learn to do it all yourself. Like, you have to do every bit of it, because I think that's one of those things that's good training, and then later on, what your assistants are doing. But coming in a private school, I was at a private school for 15 years, and it's a whole different animal, especially if you're talking about a private school that doesn't have as much money financially as some other schools, and doesn't have the athletes at that time that you want. So you've got to try to drum up interest, and get kids where they're wanting to come. And I think that's the biggest hardship that we had, was trying to play above our head as much as we could all the time. And we were talented. We had quite a few years where we were talented, but I think that was probably the biggest issue.
Yeah. How is the community support for your program nowadays?
At Neville,
Yes, sir.
it's a great support. Yeah, I think we've got guys. We have an auction that that we have our big fundraiser that we have, and we're having it February 6th, and we raise probably 50, 60,000 a year on that auction. So it's a great group of people that come out, probably 150 people that come out, and we've got great booster club and parents. And our booster club, um, we've got four parents on our executive board whose kids have already graduated, but said they wanted to stay and help. And that's something that we feel like is huge for us because it shows that they have everybody's well-being.
Yeah, you don't have those type parents that, well, I'm doing all this, well, now my son has to play or get some type of significant playing time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 2025 season, coach. The ups and downs, and how did y'all end the season?
I'll tell you, it was probably the hardest season that we've had since I've been here at Neville. Um, the thing that makes it the tough, of course, we're playing in a 2-5A district, which is a tough district. With teams like Ruston was having a great year last year, West Monroe, Ash, Pineville, um, and it was just, and Washita's in there too, and we just were. It's every week we're having a tough series, and we always have tried to play a tough non-district, but and we didn't have quite the talent that we were used to having, and we knew there was going to be a little bit of a lull between last year's group and then the group that we have coming in this year, and so we struggled with that. We probably lost 3 or 4 games that we felt like we should have won, and that kept us out of the playoffs. And that's the first time in my career I've ever missed the playoffs in baseball. We've missed it when I was a coach, a head coach, and and that was tough. But I think it was something that our kids have learned from for sure.
So y'all didn't make the playoffs. How long of a break did you give you guys mentally or physically before you got ready for the 26th season?
Well, I mean, we gave them a little bit of break. Of course, we started freshman tryouts after the state championships. We did uniform pickups and all that sort of stuff directly after the season during the playoffs, and we kept lifting. Yeah, and we would have open cage and stuff, guys is hitting in here, and then for the first time since I've been at Neville, we had a summer team, as we've never had one before. Um, but we decided going into this summer that the recruiting landscape has completely changed from what it used to be. There really is no showcase anymore. Because college coaches just aren't out watching the high school kids like they used to be, and so we had a summer team, and we played in like 4 or 5, I think 2D tournaments, and took that group that we had. Now, any kid that has played significant time on the varsity, if they wanted to go play for a showcase or travel organization, we let them go play. But everybody else was we had them come back and play for us on that summer team, and I think it was good for our first summer for sure. And I think we learned a lot of stuff about it, and we had a lot of new kids coming in, so it was great for them to kind of learn the system or at least the basics of it, and I think that's going to pay off for us.
And being a 5A program, I'm sure you don't have that many players that's playing other sports. So how did your fall program go? How did your fall program go without your whole team, basically?
Well, we probably have more kids playing other sports than most 5A schools.
Okay.
We have I think 16 baseball only kids, and those kids are with us in the fall. We have seventh period, and we lift 3 days a week, and we'll do some type of baseball specific activity 2 days a week. Um, but we have a lot of kids, a lot of starters that are in that. And for the first time this year at midterm, we'll end up having those guys transferred into baseball, seventh period. But I think it was good for a lot of those kids because we had a lot of young ones that that didn't play baseball, that didn't play football, that were here and were able to get some extra work in and stuff. But we encourage all of our kids to play sport, play multiple sports. We're not a staff that discourages them from playing anything else. I mean, for the first time this year, we've got two varsity guys that are playing basketball, play football and basketball, and then two JV kids that are playing football and basketball. And so then it's something to really sharing basketball and baseball and football and baseball is a completely different animal, but it's definitely something that can be done.
Coach, I don't take you as a guy that like runs away from a challenge or competition. So, how did you? What was your mindset on doing your schedule for this year, being that you didn't make the playoffs last year?
Well, we kind of felt like we needed to schedule. I talked to Louis Cook at Notre Dame
Hmm.
and asked him, tell me what kind of teams do I need to be scheduling to give us the best chance to have a power rating that we need to have. And it was funny. I've talked to a lot of people. Of course, we're 5A, and I mean I could talk on the debacle of why 5A. The bottom of 5A to the top of 5A is the same range as it is from the bottom of 1A to 4A to the top of 4A. And so I mean, that I think that's just a skewed, screwed up deal that's in our state that just never has been addressed. But I asked him, what like our power rating last year, we would have made the playoffs in every single division other than 5A non-select, and we weren't like one or two people out. We were one of four or five people that weren't in. So I asked Louis Cook, what kind of teams do we need to schedule? And he said you need to find teams with that are going to win 18 to 20 games, and we did as much of that as possible. Luckily, the teams that we normally play end up winning that many games, and we got into the Sulphur tournament this year, and uh, and then going back to the Eunice or the Lafayette tournament, and we have good tough schedule. So the thing is, it's a mix of tough games, but games that I feel like we do have a shot to win and get some extra power points. But we're not one of those that's going to go try to find small schools that win 30 games and chase power points. We just never have been like that. We played, I think Claiborne Christian. We played them a few years when Chad O'Lynn was there, but we just hadn't been one of those that do it. So we kind of jumped into it. I mean, in 2017, when the last year we won it, I mean, I want to say we were like 2-10 at after the tournament season. Like we knew, it was going to be tough, and we ended up coming back and winning the state championship because we scheduled such a tough non-district road, and that's kind of like what we've done this year.
And we was in that same boat with you guys. I think we finished one or two spots behind y'all this past season. We was 21-13 and didn't make it as well.
Yeah, and it's crazy because in every other division we would make it, and
Yeah.
and and it's just, I mean, and I know you know this, but like, of course, like for us, the previous years that we've had to play Division 1 or 5A, like we're playing schools that have more boys than we had total enrollment, and that's just because we were like three people into 5A, and that made it tough. And I think that's one of the things that hopefully we'll kind of even out. We're going back down to 4A next year, Division 2. Um, but I mean, we feel like, if we can continue to have the athletes come through that we've had come through, that we can have a shot to compete for it.
Awesome, awesome. Coach, how do you balance winning with developing kids?
I tell you, it's something I've had to kind of really call on the last couple of years. But as we've lost some assistant coaches, that haven't been replaced by the school board. So we've got actually right now there's me and another coach on staff that are having to really do a lot of double duty with our freshman JV guys. And so we tell our guys, like, our freshman and JV games are just as important as any varsity games, because that's their game day, and we give those guys as much training as we can. This year we're actually going to practice all together a lot of the times, because we feel like it's important for those guys to be exposed to our program. So we feel like development is huge. And I think, and there's been years where we weren't as good at that. We didn't do as good a job of it. But I think just over the past couple of cycles of seniors that have fallen out, we've just ended up having to call on a lot more younger guys to step up and play a lot earlier than normal.
Awesome. What's one season or one player that changed the way you coach?
Hmm. That's a good question. Uh, one season, I mean, I could tell you, like, the 2018 season, which is the year after, um, or the 17 and 18 season, the year after we won the state championship. Um, but we I felt like we didn't do a very good job of coming back and answering the challenge that we had from other people. We do a lot of classroom time with our kids, and like, we'll meet before practice every day in the team room we've got, and we do a lot of that kind of stuff with them, and it kind of changed a little bit of where our direction is, and I became real involved in the mental game, being a Brian Kane certified mental performance mastery coach, and learning that part of the game, and we really teach our kids that, like, weekly. We have a mental Monday that we'll spend more times. We kind of feel like these kids have played so much baseball in their life growing up that missing 30 to 45 minutes of practice time to learn something valuable in the mental game is worth it. It's worth it, and it'll pay off. And we feel like that's something that kind of changed and has pushed our direction the last probably 5 6 years.
How do you teach a player baseball IQ who mostly relies on athleticism?
Yeah, that's another good question. Like, we actually take baseball IQ tests at tryouts and in the first part of the year in the spring. And I think that's something that we continue to push on kids. And I think the biggest kid that we've had issues with are the ones that have just been better than everybody their whole life, and they just could show up and didn't play and didn't have to know as much about the game, or didn't know about the specifics of the game. And I think those kids are the ones that we really end up having to focus on the uh, the baseball IQ part, and just having that savvy of being a great baseball player. And that's something we stress with them, is just, the toughness and the grittiness to know what to do without having to be told what to do every single pitch, or every time they're at the plate. Like, being able to make self adjustments at the plate or on the mound, or in the field. And what we do is, instead of, we're real big on, like, we're not ever gonna gripe or scream or get on a kid that makes an error. I mean, errors are part of the game that are gonna happen. Now, if it's a mental error, or an effort error, we'll say something to them then. But we don't put that extra pressure on them, and so we'll teach them about those every time. We'll do game review notes the next day, but we'll really try to teach all of that baseball IQ aspect, and do it to all of them, not just the kid that made the error.
Going back to the 2026 season, what players on your roster that we should be looking out for that should make a huge impact on your team on your season this year?
Well, we feel like we didn't make the playoffs last year, but we felt like we had a decent pitching staff. We've got all three of our starting pitchers back,
Okay.
and that's McCain Gerald, who's going to be a senior, Jack Henry Good, and then Evans Peters, a tall lefty that we've got, and we felt like there was a lot of growth for those guys last year, even not making the playoffs. That it was very pivotal for them, and they've all had great summers and great off seasons. They're all actually baseball only guys, so they've been with us all fall, and they've been throwing bullpens longer than what the football guys that we just got at the break have been doing. But we feel like those three, for the most part, and then Hunter Robinson, who's going to be our center fielder, he's been a second base outfielder type player, but to me, he is probably one of the most underrated players in the state in this
Hmm.
2026 class. He's got so much athletic ability, and it just hasn't gotten an offer yet. But I feel like he's a kid that could end up uh, being a really good player in high school as well as being a good college player. And then other than that, we got a couple other guys, Cole Pesic, Jackson Spangler, and some guys like that that'll play different roles, and we feel like they're going to have good years for us. And bring like Mason Hart, who's a football tight end, will come back and catch for us. We feel like he'll be somebody that'll help us. We've got a lot of ninth and tenth graders that really like we got some 10th graders that did play a good bit last year, and Connor Agilani, who has worked his tail. He's a football kid, but he is up here working like 4 or 5 days a week, even during football season. And we feel like the work that he puts in is gonna allow him to have an even better year also. So we're excited about those guys. And then, I mean, we could not that we would we could end up starting as many as six or seven ninth and tenth graders this year, and it's not out of necessity like that we don't have any older good players. It's that those guys are really are. It's a good group.
Well,
We feel like it's a great group of back-to-back classes that have a lot of baseball ability and have good baseball IQ also.
you got a comment right here. Levi Brewster, Coach G is the best in the state.
Oh yeah, Levi. I coached him a couple of summers in a college league that I coach in. He's a war daddy now. He's one of the best competitors that I've coached on the mound. Like you give him the ball and put him on the mound, he's gonna get after it. And I always loved anytime he pitched.
So you've been around the game a long time. What's the biggest mistake high school players make when trying to get noticed by college coaches, in your opinion?
Well, I think the biggest mistake that high school players make is not being where their feet are. Like in our society today, everything's about the next great thing, always reaching for the next level instead of being great where you are. And in today's technology, if you'll be as great as you can right here where you're at, I promise you they'll find you. They'll find you. And the bad thing about it is because of the transfer portal and everything that's going on in college, it used to be that junior college was an avenue that a lot of kids didn't want to take. Well, if you're not a power four type kid as a high school player, a lot of times like you're going to have to sign JUCO if you want to get a chance to play early. And because even the mid majors are getting transfer portal guys. They're not getting high school seniors. And like we've had probably 8 JUCO signees out of the last 1 to 2 to 3 years, and guys like we've signed probably 4 of them at ULM last year, and then for next year also, and we feel like that's the biggest issue is that to just be great where you're at, and you'll get the opportunity. It may not be that LSU comes calling for you, but you'll get the opportunity, and if you want to play and you have the grades, there's going to be every opportunity to do it. I think that's the biggest problem that I've seen out of high school kids is just always worrying about the next best thing instead of just being great right here and right now. And if I had the second thing, which and we push this a ton, is is knowing the value of being a great teammate and how much life value that can add to you, like forever. If you can be a great teammate, you'll be a good part of any team that you're ever going to be on, like in a workforce, as a head of a family, whatever case may be. And I think that's something that, and I think a lot more coaches are pushing that now than maybe in the past. But that's probably the two biggest issues that I've seen.
Earlier, I actually was the one moment or player that changed the way you coach. What's the one moment that still sticks with you to this day in your coaching career?
Well, the one moment I'll tell you this in 2017, when the year we won it,
Hmm.
and not a lot of people know it, but uh, we cut five senior starters before the year started for different issues, and like they were guys that were going to be pretty good players. One of them had a college offer, and it was just a situation where, for whatever reason, we ended up having to part ways with them,
Hmm.
and it was. And not anything against those kids at all, but it ended up being addition by subtraction with the way that our seniors that were left handled it. And I think the 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 thing that pressed me the most was that there's a lot more kids that can play and make a huge impact if they're just given an opportunity. And I think after that year, we encourage kids to come in and talk to us if they're upset about anything like playing time, anything like that. And I think most times that a player comes in and feels like they haven't been given a shot, like I'll seriously consider that, and I'll give them a shot if that's something that they feel like they haven't been given, and and it's due in large part to that 2017 season because we had some guys that stepped up and played huge roles that we probably never would have even touched the field if we hadn't have had lost those five players prior to the year.
Coach, players that wear your jersey for the last time, what when they leave, what do you want them to represent?
We want them to represent basically our core values and who we are. And it's, with the Tigers, it's trust, integrity, grit, excellence, relentless, and selfless. And those are things that we push like every day in some form or fashion. And that's what we're wanting them to learn. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, is just being a great teammate and what you can lend to the team. And we also talk to him because in our society now everything is leader, leader, leader. Well, you have to be a great follower too. Guys have to be a great follower also. And we talk to our guys about how to be a great follower. Even if you want to become a leader, you may become a leader. Be a great follower and be a great teammate, and find a way to be part of the solution. And I think that's what we want to stand for is basically the things that aren't related to any baseball talent. And we talk to those kids about it a lot, and we kind of feel like that's what kids represent when they leave.
What's your approach to a kid that's doing everything right off the field, but is struggling on the field?
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, we preach a lot that how you do anything is how you do everything. And I was even listening to a guy on ABCA that was talking this morning that said he was talking about, I think it was Rory, uh, one of the golfers on the, I can't
McElroy.
remember what group it, but he said he got beat. I don't know if it was last year, year before, but he was also going through a divorce in his private life, and he didn't expect to get beat. And he basically said, if you don't have it together off the field, you're probably not going to be successful on the field. So we give those situations to our kids a lot of times is are you being excellent off the field and on the field? And I think the other part of that is we'll try to simplify more than anything. Is if they're struggling on the field, is simplify because they'll start making it into everything else. My favorite one is the kid that either every at bat or anytime he struck, what's wrong with my swing? When 80% of the time they're swinging at bad pitches, and it's got nothing to do with their swing. And we preach to our kids about just approach and hitting the situation. And you can be successful as a player doing those type things. And so we'll simplify and start pointing those type situations out, and even for pitchers as well. It's not always that there is a mechanical issue. It's usually some type of issue somewhere that's kind of got them off track. Either they're focused on the wrong things, or it's something that's a lot simpler than what they feel like it is.
You've been around the game for a while. Um, how has the game evolved since you've been a part of the game?
Huh. It's evolved a ton. Um, and that's something that we were just talking about this the other day. But and you hear guys talk about, guys that are old school. you know if you're not evolving as a coach or as a player, like, I think you're getting worse. Like you're basically dying out. I don't think you can sit here and preach nothing but old school and expect to get the same results, because the game evolves. I mean, it evolved to get to the point where it was when I played. It had evolved a lot prior to that. So it's not like it's going to stop evolving, and it continues to get better. But I mean, and I think I'd heard you on one of your earlier podcasts. I can't remember which coach it was, and you were talking to about the number. Or I think you asked, are the players better now, or
Yeah, I
you
asked
know,
if the kids is more skilled now, or have or they're just more exposed to the game.
what I was thinking is that I don't think that the kids are more talented or more skilled. I think there are more kids that are skilled and talented than there used to be, because there's that many kids that are getting exposed to every opportunity that there is to get better. So there's a lot more of them out there than there used to be. Um, and that's one of the things. There was another guy I was listening to. One of the fallacies in this whole velocity deal with pitchers is, you keep seeing all this 99, 100 guys hitting 100, high school guys throwing over 90. And like one of the articles, and we talked to our pitchers about this, is like 93 is essentially 86 when I was playing. The
Hmm.
difference is the radar guns technology is so much better that it's getting time out of the hand as opposed to at the plate.
Gotcha.
So the numbers are higher because of that technology. It's not that all these people are jumping up and throwing that much harder. Now, I do think that by and large there is more kids throwing harder, and there is a lot of kids that do throw harder than normal just because some of the training and stuff that they do and focus that they have. But I feel like more than anything, it's about just being the best that you can be. And
Hmm.
I feel like if kids would really focus on that, we continue to get more and more. And the other thing that I think's happening too is, and I think it's something that travel ball's doing, is like we're losing in high school, we're losing the marginal player that's a great teammate. We're losing that kid because at 10 to 14 years old, he's quitting. He's quitting because nobody values what he does anymore. And like those kids, we're always the greatest teammates and some of the best encouragers. And what ends up happening a lot of times is you get so many guys that are expecting to be the very best that there's not a whole lot of guys that are pushing other ones or encouraging others. And so the game has lost that marginal player that's gonna keep working and get a little bit better, but they're great teammates. Like their concern is for the team more than it is their self. And I think it's just because, like when you did away with the like the Dixie leagues and the little leagues and stuff, like those kids like they stopped playing because they don't want to go play travel ball, or nobody is asking them to play on their travel ball team because they aren't skilled enough or they're not good enough. And so they just lose an opportunity to play. Well, that's hurting us in high school because the kids quit and is not playing and they're not coming back to play. But so that's caused a little bit of a change in how we've had to deal with the kids that we get, because it is there are guys that are more skilled than they normally would have been. But but on the other side, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but you know, I think travel ball has been good for the game in some aspects. In some aspects, I think it has not been, in terms of like kids really don't do anything but play games anymore. We don't have enough kids that are becoming great
Hmm.
at the little things in baseball. So they're not exposed to them. Like they'll go out and play, and you'd be surprised at how many kids that would come up into high school or some people's junior high that have no idea how to handle first and third offense. They have no idea what a double cut tandem relay is. Bunting, like I've had kids that have come in here to try out as freshmen that would talk down on bunting. I said, you don't realize this, but that's the easiest way for you to get cut, is for you to run down bunting, because that's something we're going to do. And if you can't do it, you won't play. But we push it to those guys a lot, and I think that's something that travel ball has caused. But I think it also has allowed more kids to become skilled. But I don't know. I mean, it's getting further and further out of control. I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer for it. And it's like I tell our kids is, don't gripe about it if you can't offer a solution. Well, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I don't think it's to go back to playing Dixie and little leagues, because there's a lot to these tournaments. But I mean, and you've heard people talk about that it's turned into a money grab
Hmm.
uh, baseball game. That like there's just so much stuff that is turned into money grab, and you got parents that are spending more money than they'll ever get in scholarship money, all in the name of getting a scholarship. And it's like, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make
Yeah.
sense at all. And so I just feel like we that's the one thing we're missing out on in the baseball game or baseball society.
Yeah. we got we have a question here from Levi. He asks, "What advice would you give a young coach like myself? Is there something you would have changed early in your career as a coach that would have made you better early on?"
Yeah, there's a lot I would have changed, and it's funny is that a lot of the things that I was so bad at, I've really tried so hard to get my son not to do. And I tell our players all the time, and I tell former players that have come in, and actually prior to Neville, like I would not have wanted to play for the coach I used to be. I wouldn't have wanted to. They talk about the coach that screams and hollers and basically gripes without giving the solution. Well, there was a point where I was like that, and I still love players, but I think the biggest thing that I would say is learn how to love the kids that are laying it on the line every day for you. And that's something that I think a lot of kids or young coaches miss out on, is the relationship part. I mean, everybody knows the old statement that they don't. Nobody cares what you know until they know you care. That- That's so profound in so many like kids want somebody that cares about them and that's going to be competent in what they're coaching them. And I think that's the biggest aspect. And now the other on the baseball side, like I would tell them to learn how to be a great assistant coach because that's going to pay off for you if you do become a head coach and in terms of how you lead your assistant coaches. So soak in as much information as you can. And a lot of times guys are in situations where they're learning what not to do if they become a head coach. But they don't need to be a guy that continually runs down. They need to be the best that they can be and continue to build great relationships. That's the best advice I give for the younger guys. Just learn how to love your players.
Before I was before I was gonna ask you that question, I was gonna actually just piggyback off what you said earlier about the travel ball. It's like these coaches they they don't worry about the development anymore. They want to win a ring right now. They want to flash the ring, but like we always tell them, high school coaches won't ask you what you did at 12U in a tournament the third weekend in March.
Exactly. And that's the thing that I think is the biggest problem is like kids start collecting one of the things that irritates me more than anything has been the like where they started giving these kids these rings that they give out, which is such a joke. And it's devalued a lot of what a real ring means. Um, and it's so money grab, or they call it World Series, but all you got to do is pay your entry fee to get in the World Series.
Yeah.
You don't have to win to get in the World Series. And that part of it, and the fact that you can go 0-6 on a weekend, come back and tell somebody you had a great weekend. A lot of those kids believe it. They had a great weekend. We had fun. We were in wherever playing and we had a great weekend. So the winning part of it, like kids are losing that. And that's one of the issues that we deal with all kids, not saying just us, but we as high school coaches deal with kids that have been in a travel ball situation, and we have to learn to continue to make them compete. And by the way, I'll tell you, everybody talks about how the whole transfer portal and the NIL is just so out. Like all that is travel ball. That's all that is. Like it's all they've been doing. They've been a free agent on travel ball teams since they were 6 years old.
Hmm.
I mean, they're
Yeah,
just being a free agent in college.
got you.
And so that's where a lot of that has come from. And I think just that whole part is what just continues to tear down at the game. So you have to find a way to continue to make those guys competitive and teaching them what being a great player is. It's not about whether you win or lose. It's being the best that you can be.
Levi had another one. I feel young coaches get so caught up on the respect aspect of things rather than realizing that comes from being a player's coach and loving them. Like you said, thank you, coach.
Yeah, and I think Levi's going to be a great coach, and there is, and I'll tell you, like a head coach has to have the assistant coach that is going to learn things that a head coach can't. Like players will tell assistant coaches things they'll never
Yeah,
tell a head coach. And it's not because of who the head coach is, it's because they're just not going to tell a head coach. They know who has the final say. So you have to have guys in the assistant coach position that know what road you want your system to be on and can help those guys stay on track with that. And if you don't, I think you end up losing control of a lot of kids. So if you have great assistant coaches that are great players coaches, and you got head coaches that are players coaches a lot too. But but I agree, and I think Levi will end up being a great coach.
Well, Coach, I want to say thanks for sitting down with us. Any last words you have for us today?
No, I mean this is great. I love any opportunity where we're pushing the game of baseball and expanding the game of baseball. I mean, we live in a football state.
Hmm.
Let's don't kid ourselves. We're a football state, so every chance that we can expose the game of baseball to people, I think, is great for the game. And this is huge in doing that, and knowing that we have guys that are pushing kids to be the best they can. And I appreciate you giving a lot of these guys the opportunity to share what they know with people.
Yep. I haven't asked any, excuse me. I haven't asked any other coaches I interviewed, but is there? Could you? Can you? How can I put it? Nominate, so to speak, a coach to come on and talk with us next.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could nominate a few of them for sure.
Hmm.
Um, I think Robbie Domini would be good from Washita Christian. Um, I think the other thing would be like I would love to hear guys in different stages of their career, like some that are first few years coaching, some that have been, I don't know, 13 to 15 years, and some that have been doing it like me for like 31, 32 years. Because I think like my perspective is completely different than what it was when I was a first to 3 year coach.
Hmm.
And so I think all those guys learning from that. And then you end up getting a lot of these newer coaches too that are they're drawn to a lot of this data driven baseball that we're seeing.
Hmm.
And I love the a lot of the data that we use. And I push statistics and talk statistics a lot to our kids in terms of not keeping track of statistics. Like we don't even talk about batting average, but just like like our rule of 65, and that 65% of all balls hit in fair territory are outs. And just showing kids that well, like the Rapsodos and all that kind of stuff. We don't have that because I've yet to have anybody. And I said, I'll buy it. We got the money.
Hmm.
I'll get it. When somebody can show me how it's going to make our kids better, I'll get it. I'll get it. But getting numbers just so that a college coach can say he thinks the kid is good, like that's not making us better. And that doesn't develop all of our kids. So there's a lot of that part. I think there's some part of the data driven stuff that's good, but the thing is, a lot of the younger coaches are starting to know that and more than guys that are older.
Yeah. Coach, will you be at the LBCA next weekend?
Yep, I'll be there.
Okay. Guys, still time to register yourself or your staff for the event. It's a great event year in and year out. I thoroughly enjoy it every year. We got a bunch of great speakers both days. Just make sure you're out there. Come talk to me. Talk to fellow coaches, fellowship, and have a good time. Um, Coach, like I said, thanks again for coming on, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, sir. Hey, and let me say this about that convention is like Tim O'Neill does such an incredible job with the LBCA, and there's a lot of coaches in the state that don't realize the amount of time and work that he spends putting together that list of speakers.
Hmm.
So come to the convention. We've changed the days where it's during the week because we've started losing a lot of guys on a weekend day, like a Saturday, so it's a Thursday, Friday,
Hmm.
and I'm on the executive board, and that's one of the things that we really wanted to push is having as many coaches there as we can. Because if we're going to try to push rules, but we're not showing a huge percentage of guys that are going to LBCA, the LHSAA is not going to really listen to it. So we need to continue to grow the game by everybody coming together and showing that we're trying to progress the game of baseball.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach. Again, thanks for tuning in. See y'all next time.